Howdy, everyone. Welcome, Tellor Dev Call, September 5th, already in September. So yeah, super exciting call because we announced last week the plans for Tellor Layer, which is kind of the next implementation of Tellor. If you haven't, go read. We put out. It's not like a white paper. It's like a simplified white paper, if you will. It's not too long. Anyway, it's about what we're building, a little bit on why we're building it, some of the decisions we made around there. But it's kind of like a year-long plan. So I know some people have asked, like, timeline-wise, like we're not rushing it. So don't necessarily think A, that we have all the answers right now, or B, that if you're a user or a token holder or anything, that you have to do anything right now. We're hopefully going to make it so even later you can always sort of opt for this version. So we want to make it as easy for everyone as we can. So that said, it's exciting. You know, we've been working on this for a little bit of time now, and
yeah, I mentioned dev calls might have been somewhat cryptic the last few weeks.
Yeah.
As we try to keep our sort of, well, there wasn't much to share. Like I guess the last few weeks have been a lot of like,
yeah,
research and just decision making on a direction.
So anyway, it's super fun. Start talking about it. Yeah, hopefully you guys can poke some holes in it and make it better. So we built it. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on. Working with some users, getting them out the door as well, and yeah, got a few more deep dives scheduled, so excited about that. And then I'm probably going to, over the next few weeks, I have to find a guest host. I'll do a deep dive on Tellor Layer, so then you guys can have a nice overarching walkthrough about what we're thinking. So watch for that video as well. So we'll have some more material on it, is kind of what I'm saying. So, all right. Tim, how's things going?
Yeah, things are going well. Picking up this week with working on the simple test version of Layer that some people on the team have built. Yeah, so that's my main focus.
Cool. Yeah. Owen, on to you, and then a question for you. Have you heard anything from the Polkadot guys on getting that test net up?
No, I need to circle back and find out what's going on with them.
Cool.
But yeah, other than that, I'm also working on the client for this Cosmo Novad and the mismatch of values.
And then I saw we got a notification somebody started a new Diva pool. Anybody look at what that one is? Spuddy, maybe. You're muted, bud.
I haven't looked at it yet.
All right.
I'll look at it right now if you want to circle back.
No, it's cool. Drive. But yeah, no, we anyway, we get notifications when somebody opens up a new Diva pool that uses Tellor as the Oracle, and it happened, I think, like yesterday or something. So I was gonna make sure that we have support for it.
So. We have support for all Diva pools, and now it's approved. That we can always just manually submit a value, which works as long as there's not a ton of Diva pools. Just this is for like everybody watching out in the world. But we're working on making it more automatic so that reporters who download our client can just automatically submit for them. We got a question related to that coming at the end, I think.
Okay, cool. All right. Ryan?
Yeah, also kind of similarly related, trying to get the Diva pool tips to show up on the tip table. There's just a couple things that need to be locked in, so I'm hoping to finally ship this out this week.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be an exciting one. Cool. Akram?
Yeah, I'm still working on the Tellor Layer stuff. trying to meet the deadline that we talked about last week, hopefully by 1 o'clock.
Our arbitrary deadline for a cram will be there.
Yeah. But it's good to meet them anyways. Also have a call with Cadena, I think at 12:30, me and Brenda and them.
Be there.
Okay.
That'll be good. And then we also got somebody reached out to see if we can go over to Hedera Hashgraph, so I'll be looking into that today. I don't know, I don't know if they have a bridge available though, which is we might have to get approved from a bridge, so we'll be looking into that. If anybody watching knows anything about Hedera, let us know how to get over there. Dan, how's things?
Good. I've just been running through the Ignite tutorials. They're definitely going better. I just have one small question if you have like 10 minutes today.
For sure. Yeah, we can hop on them a little after this call.
Okay.
Cool. And then last but not least, Spuddy, anything?
Yeah, so like Nick was talking about at the top of the call, part of the research that we're doing is like we're thinking about building Tellor Layer as a Cosmos chain. So I've been working on like running Cosmos chains and seeing what's involved, like how other projects do it. Which one should I do next? That's the question.
Yeah. No, if anybody else watching has any, we're gonna go through the whole gamut eventually, Spuddy. So don't you worry.
I'll start. Maybe do Witnet next.
Witnet's not a Cosmos chain, so
I know.
Witnet's a fun one as far as they're custom built everything. But yeah, if you want to do some research on Witnet, you can.
Well, we'll talk about it. We'll figure out what I should try to run next.
For sure.
I'll be interested in finding out why Spuddy, I know you run into some, I guess, issues getting that up and running so I would be interested in finding out like what your experience with it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can learn from that and make it better.
The issues I was having with running, I've been talking about Band. The issues I've been having were just related to how they fed the variables into the different programs, the different client programs, the Go process. There's Cosmovisor, Band, D, and Yoda. And the way that they did the variables didn't work on my Linux system that I was using, so I had to come up with my own way to kind of make that work.
And I think you brought that up like maybe a week ago. Now I remember, like for us to do it different. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any bulletproof suggestions on how to not have that problem in the future, but and I get it too, because it's kind of like how I write the Telliot guides, like those like step-by-step guides for Telliot, that I know that the guide works if you are using an AWS brand new installation of Linux, you can copy and paste the commands. But if you're using a different operating system, it's a little bit different. I was also it was a learning curve for me to just use Go and not Python. So yeah.
I think that's a learning curve for a few of us here, but that's gonna be fun. So Mike, we've got pinged by a few people in Polkadot. Tansy Network, currently they do some they're working on making deployments or app chain deployments, I don't know, easier. I don't know. We have to look into them, but I'm gonna schedule a call. I don't know if maybe I'll include you, Owen, because I'm not 100% sure what's, if they're gonna be useful or not. But them, and then obviously we have Cadena today, and then also I'm heading to Berlin on Thursday for DAPCon and funding the commons for to present the CPI project that we have going. And then for DAPCon, we'll be talking about Oracle best practices. And then, and I'm excited that we actually can talk a lot more openly about Tellor Layer now. I'm sure some people will be interested and it will be fun to talk about when I'm out there. But that's basically my week. And I guess I'm gonna continue our daily stand-ups for Cosmos Chain.
Yeah, and then I think so for those watching it too, if you're going to DAPCon, let us know. Brenda will be out there. She'll be giving speeches at two of the events out there. So super exciting. On to questions. Anything, Ryan?
Yes. Let's see here. The first one was we mentioned it previously, but there were some questions about why the tips aren't showing up for Diva. So working on that. That should be coming up hopefully this week, so that we'll see that when when there's a pool sitting with rewards to be reported on and claimed, that will show up on the tip table on the data feed. So stay tuned for that. Let's see, the next question was, Mayumo still doesn't understand how exactly the IPFS query works. He proceeded to kind of pretty much explain it on par, but it might be worth just kind of for everybody watching, kind of give a brief review or brief overview of how the data specs works with IPFS. I don't know, Tim, do you want to? You answered a nice, thorough response in there. Do you want to TLDR it for us?
Yeah. So all of our data definitions exist in some document called a data specs, and that's how people define exactly what data is being requested. And that has always lived in a GitHub repo. And then recently we switched that over to an on-chain registry with the documents hosted on IPFS. And so the way that works is now any user, anyone can come in and register a new query type, and they pay a registration fee, and that determines how long they have that registration for. And then that address owns that query type string or that query type registration for however long the registration is. And then they set the IPFS document hash for that query type. And then they can come in and reset that query type document many times. But so now users have complete control over those data specs definitions, and they don't have to go through the Tellor team for permission or go through GitHub. It's all done on chain, completely transparently, and you can trace the history of any of these data specs docs being changed on chain. I think that's all the points to it.
Yeah. And he more specifically asked, how does the IPFS hash get recorded on chain? That's through the doc hash variable on the smart contract. The user is paying for the data spec registry, and is the one that owns it and can update that document hash, which is just the IPFS hash. And then who monitors the change of the data specs? I thought you had a pretty cool answer there in terms of it's now up to the community as opposed to just relying on the Tellor team to monitor that. I don't know if you want to expand on that.
It's just the question was who monitors those changes, and it's really up to the reporters and users and all stakeholders to keep an eye on any changes to those data specs definitions. And then if some definition does get changed and a dispute arises, then it's up to the voters to decide whether to keep some old data specs definition or go with a new one. That's kind of we have a blog article on soft consensus as it relates to this data specs registry, and that's kind of the magic of this backup of social consensus, where like, for example, if some query type that's being used heavily by some protocols, if that gets changed, the definition gets changed tomorrow, but that would actually wreck all of those protocols, then maybe the Tellor voters, the community, would decide to keep going with that old definition. So the data specs registry gives everyone a central place to go look and know how this data is being defined, but then it also, there's still another backup of the social layer deciding whether some change was even kind of malicious. But yeah, everyone needs to just monitor any changes to those data specs definitions. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Tim. Can we create a public list where anyone who takes data from Tellor gets listed, so I can see all the projects getting data and how often they paid for it in tips?
Yeah, I mean, I answered this one, so I can go. Yes, you could, theoretically. It would probably be very, very hard. So, I mean, it would be hard and sort of useless is probably the bigger thing. So you could scrape the chain and find out who's look at every block and look at actually which contracts are reading our data, and then analyze whether or not they do that. The problem is that you would hope that the contracts would be verified and then map actually to a valid so you could tell like who was actually reading it. Probably not, though. Most of them either won't be verified, or they'll just be liquidity forks, so, or something like that, which will be the same contract. And the other thing too is that you don't see reads for fallbacks. So like a lot of depending on how you set up your fallback oracle, you know, like liquidity, like we don't actually, it only falls back to us if the chain link value is like, you know, basically 4 hours old. So there's no reason that they would tip or update it if Chainlink's functioning properly. If Chainlink were, say, 3 hours old and it looks like they're not going to update, then we have bots that come in and tip it and make sure that it updates. So is liquidity using us? Yes, but do you see that on analyzing the on-chain data? No, not necessarily. And I think you would see that with a lot of different projects, since we do tend to be more on the fallback, rarely used unless needed sort of side. So yeah, long answer.
Where are Asian language translations for Tellor friendly Asian website?
Are there Asian websites requesting Tellor translations?
So Google Translate, they will do that for them? No?
Just from the guy who's going to message that he's a translator.
Yes.
Oh, the end of that question was, we need Asians. So I believe it was trading related.
Yeah, it's true. There was somebody in the trading channel that just said, we need the Asians to go to the moon or something like that.
Hey,
you know, that is true. That is most of the population of the world.
And then the last one will end with a bang. Can Tellor Layer compete with Chainlink on speed and scalability?
Yeah, no, I mean, I said that's the goal, so definitely. You know, the reason that we picked sort of going with the Cosmos chain is it has very, very fast finality. It can't be as fast as a multi-sig, just by definition, but you know, basically what we're looking at is for most of the data queries over on Tellor Layer, we're going to be able to have, you know, probably targeting like 2 to 3 second finality, so you can have updates basically very, very quickly, and you can use them instantly in your protocol, which is going to be super cool. So, you know, which is obviously, you know, an order of magnitude faster than Ethereum block times. So you'll be able to have updates every single block if you want to, which is very, very exciting. So we should be able to compete in terms of speed. We should be able to compete in terms of security. It's, yeah, it's going to be a pretty cool design, and I'm excited to sort of build it and make sure that it works.
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. I think that's all. Yeah, keep the questions pouring in. Go give Tellor Layer paper a read, and see you guys next week.